like technique, if you can call it that. Like, like things do change, like life is a cycle. And I do find that, I mean, think about it. What comes after summer? Fall. What comes after fall? Winter. And what comes after winter? Spring. So the seasons are constant. It just it just gives you a sense of direction once you put it into perspective that it's okay that after the winter, the flowers will blossom again. We're going to have new life birth. And so, whenever you're going through like a really dark moment, think about it. Change is coming, for the better. We need to see things as they are, and the cyclical nature of life does not stop. It does not stop. So, kind of on that same note, what are you feeding yourself? I remember back in the day in high school, I think I wrote a paper on what what you are is what you eat, or something like that. Like, um, what we eat actually ends up sort of, I guess, um, showing up as what we become, right? And so your nutrition is so important. Are you nourishing your body with good food? Are you eating your fruits and vegetables? I mean, probably more vegetables than fruits, But another thing is, I mean, here's the thing, okay? It's okay to not always be eating super healthy. It's okay, we're all human beings, We all love to indulge a little bit here and there. But if 90% of your diet is processed and, drive-throughs and takeouts, well, clearly that's tipping the balance, the scale off to the side of being completely unhealthy. And if you feed yourself garbage, you're treating yourself like garbage. So we certainly don't want that. And here's another perspective that I find is often very much sort of neglected. Yeah, how many people do we know that actually take the time to enjoy a meal? I know there are people who say, "Oh, I have to eat fast because I have to get things done." But at the same time, at the same rate, think about it. If you take the time to enjoy your meal, you're going through the whole sequence of you know, and like letting your taste buds um, have the senses of, the different types of whether it's sweet, sour, salty, umami, right, is the fifth taste that everybody, I guess strives for on Iron Chef, the umami taste, it's just like the amazing blend of all the good from all the different tastes. So like, are you taking the time to enjoy a meal? A lot of people aren't nowadays, and that's one of the things that I would say, other than, hey, let's make some good choices on what we are eating, but also take the time to enjoy the meal. I am just as bad at this, especially when I'm, at the clinic and I've got my schedule and I'm seeing patients. And, I'm one of those people that, once I'm on a roll, I kind of don't feel like stopping for a meal. And I am totally at fault for that. And so I try, I try nowadays, whenever we do have like a 15 or 20-minute break, I try to at least, sit down and enjoy a small meal. Because I don't do the 2-hour lunches anymore like I used to. So the way I operate is a lot different than when I first started. I used to be like, oh yeah, you got to enjoy your meal. Like you got to take your 2-hour lunches, and I actually would make, I guess, lunch dates with my friends. Um, and go for a 2 hour lunch break, back in the day. So I think we're just going to have to find a happy medium there. Instead of 20 minutes, perhaps we'll move into a half an hour or 40-minute lunch break, but we'll see as we go along, because right now I'm at a different stage in my life where, I kind of want to end at a sort of decent hour so that I can come home and enjoy a nice family meal for dinner with my kids and Kelvin. So that's sort of my goal right now. Like, so lunch is a little bit more neglected, but I always make sure that I have a nice hearty breakfast, because if you at least have a nice hearty breakfast and you are not as well sort of you don't have as much time for lunch, but then you also have a nice dinner to go with it, then you're still kind of getting, see, right? It's about tipping the scale. So you're still kind of holding on to, that balance as much as you can. We cannot have it all, seriously, not all the time at least, but you can try to have the cake and eat it too, as much as you can. So take the time to nourish your body with good foods and also take the time to enjoy a meal, you know? So that's the first big, um, I'd say, general guideline. Set standards and raise them. Okay. Now, the second thing is, wow, it's what I would call strive for excellence. And as many of you know, I'm an achiever. I'm constantly striving to be better every day that I'm, there doing my work and learning things. And so this is something that always I've been taught at a young age, and I appreciate that. Um, but let me just kind of give you a story. One of the things that when you're striving for excellence, you also have to think, how can I be the best in whatever it is I'm doing? How can I be the best? And I always think back to actually one of the janitors that we had at our plaza, and forever I talk about him a lot because, he's made an immense impression on me. He took his job with pride, and he was the best. Like, he was the best janitor we had. Um, I'm sure he moved on to something better, because um, I remember when he was about to sort of finish his contract with our plaza. I remember he um, he was very nicely dressed, so I knew that he was moving on to something bigger. Here's the thing. This man, we'll call him Burt. So Burt, I believe, was a janitor for our plaza for about a good solid 5 years. And I tell you, the washrooms, because, once in a while, like every day, right? We are going to be using the bathrooms. And I remember the days when Burt was around. The bathrooms, although they were a little bit outdated, the bathrooms were always impeccably clean and sanitized. Like, you could see no toilet paper on the floor. The sink basins were always dried. And, there was always, paper towels, toilet paper rolls, available. I mean, I gotta tell you, like, even though the washrooms looked old or outdated, the bathrooms didn't feel dingy to me, you know. But ever since Bert had moved on, you can definitely see how it's really gone down. It's gone down. Like, sincerely, it's gone down. Sometimes, we go in there and there's like a little puddle on the floor. There's the sinks are, kind of like mucky, and so yeah. So we are definitely we've made a couple of complaints to the strata, so we're getting that worked out. But Bert was somebody who He was a janitor. But if I had the ability, I'd name him the best janitor of the year, 5 years in a row, because he never, ever left the bathroom um, feeling dingy and dirty and unappreciated, So he did an amazing job. And so, to strive for excellence like that, even in the menial jobs, is very respectable. I cannot imagine, what Bert had moved on to doing with his life, because I'm so sure that he has, gotten to a better better role in his life. And last but not least, I want you I want to kind of bring light to, bring light to being the source of light for others. You know, there is something about being the source of light to others that is very, I think, eye-opening, but also it's very it brings a lot of appreciation and gratefulness to our own selves. You know, if we can be the one to tell the truth, right? To tell the truth about what it is that's happening. So for example, if a friend comes to you and they're telling you, oh my God, I have just had the worst day of my life. I just got fired. I lost my, partner, or, like something devastating, you know, be that source of light. Give them hope. Give them a sense that, you know what? Yes, today may have been the worst day of your life, but I'm here with you and I'm going to walk through this with you and bring a little positivity into their lives, If they need a shoulder to cry on, that's what you do. If they need some words of encouragement, that's what you give them. But again, you got to tell the truth. We're not trying to cover up what's happening here, and we're not trying to just baby, your friend or your family here. What you're trying to do is you're trying to give them that sense of hope that, the darkest moments in their life is not going to be defining them in any way, shape, or form. This is just in passing, like the cyclical um, span of the seasons. This is something this too shall pass, right? Is what they usually say. But be the source, be a positive, a factor in there. You don't want to you don't allow them to make this situation worse than it is. See it like it is and tell them the truth and make them themselves also speak the truth about the situation, But at the same time, you want to shed some light on the challenging issues that could be coming, sort of next, and guide them through it if it's something you've been through, and be there for them. That's what I'd like, to emphasize here is that, quite often, a lot of us will tend to stack negative thoughts when we're in that deep, deep, dark moment of hurt, of loss. And we forget that, hey, you know what? We've also overcome a lot of different challenges at different stages of our lives. So you're not alone, right? And try to help them get out of that funk, because if you can help them stop that negativity, that negative stacking of thoughts, and be a source of light so that they can see themselves at the end of the tunnel or even halfway through the tunnel, then you've done an amazing job. And honestly, who could argue that that is the best version of anyone that anyone could be for anyone? Correct? I love it. So let's recap the 3 rules of thumb that we've talked about today. Number 1, Set standards and raise them. Number 2, strive for excellence. Be the best in whatever it is you're doing and whoever it is you're being. And number 3, be the source of light for others.